Hello Libra, this is a reading for all the Libra placements out there. My name is Vincent and today you are being graced with the beautiful Tarot Yohualli Ehécatl right here, upside down. Hello. This is by MiCorazonMexica on Instagram and Etsy. I'll put some information in the description for those of you that are interested because this deck is... So yeah, I was shuffling your cards and naturally a bunch of cards come flying out as I'm shuffling for your reading. And the first two cards that came out at the same time are Yohualli, the Tower. So Mars is showing up, or at least martial situations, things that are sort of acute in nature that upset the status quo and require immediate attention. And it was accompanied by this Five of Hearts. So you see in this depiction that you have the figure who is lamenting over these fallen hearts that have sort of spilled their blood, their life essence onto the floor, but he's still accompanied by these two hearts that are overflowing with tonali, which is like the life force energy, the soul, the animating force within them. But he's a little bit preoccupied by what's going on down here, by the spilled hearts, the spilled cups. So this can be a situation, just taking these two cards into account. I don't really want to divulge the next few cards just yet, but some sort of situation okay. How do I word this? Okay, so to me, the Tower, and to most readers, I would think the Tower is very much sort of like the divine, the hand of God, sort of coming into your life and snatching things up or pushing over some aspect of your life that wasn't meant to be sustained into the future. And it can be a very painful process. It can be very upsetting, literally upsetting, turning your world upside down, turning your emotional landscape into a storm of sorts. Doesn't always have to be, but you know, it's these very acute rather than chronic sort of pains that just kind of arise suddenly and without warning, or with very little warning. Sometimes there's more warning, but usually it's very sudden, it's very unexpected, it's very it's very jagged. And that's why the Tower card is associated with the planet Mars, because Mars represents those things in a lot of aspects. But for you right now, Mars is traversing through your 12th house as I'm recording this, through Virgo. So it can represent some psychological upsets or upheavals. Can also be like situations involving loss, whether that's fiscal, emotional, all of the above, loss of position. That also is kind of in line with the Tower energies, where we've put a lot of effort forward into building up our circumstances to be what they are and to sustain a certain level of comfort or a certain quality of life, and to have that completely like dismantled is obviously very, very upsetting. And so it makes sense, you know, this lamenting figure being kind of stuck thinking about everything that they've lost. But there's always an inherent message with this card to not lose sight of the things that you still have, whether that's even down to the barest of like the clothes on your back. But I think more fundamentally, it's like you still have yourself in this situation. No matter what your outward circumstances are, you're still capable of reconstructing and rebuilding from the ground up if need be. But you have the capabilities, you have the powers, you have the will, and where there is will, there is the way, you know, that phrase. But to the east, we have Yohualli, which is the Queen or Lady of Hearts, Queen of Cups. So there's definitely some water energy kind of showing up for you. And I'm being called to acknowledge the fact that today, as I'm recording this, the moon is in Scorpio. The moon is in a water sign, very much embodying this sort of Yohualli energy. And, you know, Scorpio is not a comfortable space for the moon to be in. But I think if there's enough inner work that's done, it can actually be a very powerful position. And so I think that kind of translates well to whatever this situation is with your Tower moment and this Five of Hearts sort of lamentation space that you're in. You know, this very intense, stormy energy that you might be dealing with at the moment can provide what's the word I'm looking for? Like, for whatever reason, it's like I'm seeing buttresses on like a chapel, on like a cathedral. It's like the situation, these difficult choices that are being required of you, or these losses that are being accrued by you. It's like they are the buttresses that are holding you together. And it may not seem that way, but they are the strengthening foundation. They are the underlying framework that's going to support you in the next evolution of what your life is to become. You know, and Yohualli, the Lady of Hearts, the Lady of Cups, she's a visionary, and she communes with her spirit. Her spirit guides her ancestors and attempts to establish connection so that she's able to look at the circumstances unfolding in her life from a spiritual, metaphysical perspective, and able to see the underlying patterns that are taking place, the larger picture, you know, that's sort of astrology or divination is very much implied by her presence. And it's a way for us to interface with the larger reality that our individual worlds and lives are sort of contained within. And if we're aware of these larger patterns, we can kind of see where the momentum is taking us individually and collectively, and get a better sense of what fundamentally in our lives is being supported and what isn't. And if there's some aspect of your life that isn't being supported, it's because the energy is needed somewhere else. So maybe try to use divination or astrology, whatever's most comfortable for you, to ascertain which part of your life you need to be putting your focus on. Because I don't think it's an accident that something has fallen apart in one aspect, or something is saying goodbye, something is being severed from your experience, or someone is being taken out of the equation. It's because there's something else. There's work elsewhere to be done. And I don't think it's going to get you anywhere to be stuck in this space of overthinking and ruminating over what has happened. I mean, process it, sure. Feel what you're feeling, sure, but don't sit in that for too long. Don't stay there, because it's wasting your time and it's wasting your energy. Okay. You know, you have the Strength card. And it's kind of interesting the way that the cards are oriented. You can see this figure is kind of like, no, I don't want to acknowledge that. I don't want to know that I'm capable of doing what is required of me. I don't want to know that I'm strong and powerful and that I can start all over if I need to. I want to feel emotional right now. And I'm not laughing at you, or I'm not laughing at whoever this figure is supposed to be representing, or whatever aspect of yourself, but it is almost a little comical, because it's like this to me almost feels like a regression to like a younger, more naive, simple self. Where it's like, oh no, he stole my toy, or he's playing with the toy that I want to play with right now, and I'm really upset about it, and I'm gonna, feel like my whole world has come crumbling down. And I'm not saying that to diminish whatever the situation is that you're dealing with, but in the larger scheme of things, that's kind of what it is portraying itself to me as. Like it's I'm hearing pack it up and move on. Pack it up and move on. You're not a child, you're not a weakling. You're not incapable of dealing with the situation. And even saying dealing with it, I feel like there's nothing to deal with. Like it's already happened is what it feels like. It's like any attempt to do something is just like it's dragging the corpse with you. For lack, I don't know how else to explain this. Like it's done. Let it be. Let the bricks lay where they are. Move on to a new place, a new spot, and start over. Or start something completely different. You don't have to build the same house that blew over in the storm. Build a new house, new layout, new colors, new materials. Take that as you will. It's metaphorical or it's literal. I don't know. At the base of the reading, you have the 4 of coins, the 4 of jades in this case. And this is very much like a... but I built the house out of this very specific brick, and the new house that I'm going to build has to be made out of this brick. But nobody makes this brick anymore, and so I need to save every piece of everything from the situation that fell apart. Otherwise, it's not going to work, and it's not going to be okay for me. It's like, I think maybe part of the message with this card is it's okay to let it go. You can incorporate the past into the new design, but don't make the new design depend on the old. Make it an aspect of or an accent upon the new construction, upon the new form of your life. Take what worked and leave behind those things that don't. And I'm almost seeing like, I don't know why the imagery is coming to me in this way, but I'm like seeing specifically these bricks. And it's like, take the ones that are still intact and that are still nice and still have retained their patina, and leave behind the ones that have broken in half, that have fractures or cracks or whatever on them, and stop trying to save all of those broken bits. I feel like I'm getting hoarder energy, like somebody is trying to hold on to every aspect of this past thing, and they feel like they're not capable of moving forward without those things and without being stuck in this emotional state. It's okay to feel bad about what happened. It's okay to mourn the loss, but you also need to keep living your life. You're not here to stagnate. You're not here to sit and wallow. What a waste of time that is. What a waste of life. I'm seeing, after I said that, I saw somebody like sitting on the steps of like a front porch, just like with their head in their hands, like kind of crying, and then somebody walks out of the house and like gets a broom and hits them in the rear end, gets them off the step. Like, get up and go out. Go back into the world. Your time to sit here and cry is over. Things are moving and you need to be ready. You need to move with them. You need to harness the wind and the sails. The opportunity is now, so go. Don't waste this. And as I say that, we have the Hermit card right here. He's kind of an outlier in this reading. He fell out, and I wasn't planning on taking another card like this. He just kind of fell out and he's doing what he wants. Okay, interesting. So, in the context of everything that I've already said with this reading, this is feeling to me like a sort of a stillness within activity. And the way I'm going to describe this is, there's been a few times in my own personal life where something terrible can happen, something really upsetting, and I have to go to work the next day and not necessarily pretend nothing happened, but attempt to retain adherence to the routine, sort of irrespective of it. And I feel like it creates a space between you and the deed that you're performing. There's almost like a vacuum between the two. And I feel like if you get too drawn into the void or into the emotional space that's there, you won't be able to do your work. But something about like retaining that divide, it feels powerful somehow. Like it doesn't necessarily impart a sense of like recklessness, but it makes things more intense. Your interactions with other people become much more substantial, more impactful. Like any little thing that they can say can set you over the edge, and you're like aware of that. And it I don't know how else to explain this. It gives you, it's a very potent space to be in, because you can impart a lot of change from that space, because you understand how delicate the stable, unchanging routine is, because things do change. The universe is constantly shifting and changing, and any idea that we as humanity have of reality being this stable and secure thing is an illusion. And it's like these situations that force you to reckon with that truth. And it almost makes you dangerous to interact with when you're in those states. Because at any moment, you could just say, you know what? F this routine. I'm done with this. I'm done interacting with people in this way. I'm done adhering to this schedule. And I'm going to do the thing that I feel is best for me now. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting with this card. There's also inherent in this card a message to be really sure about how you're feeling, really sure about your intentions, really sure about how you're going to respond to a situation, because again, it can be kind of volatile, the space that's being described here. Put a little bit of space between yourself and your decisions or the things that you choose to do. Take a breath before you commit to something. Create that space between yourself and the outside world so that you know that the decision that you're making has been considered before you before you're trigger happy and just, commit to something like the Aries of the world would. well, I'm getting kind of a dark image with this one now. It's like a mother who had a miscarriage or gave birth to a stillborn child and is still holding on to the child and has been holding on to this child for probably far longer than should have been allowed. Kind of a tricky wording. We'll just leave it at that. And there are people who are trying to, take the child, take the baby, take the dead matter away from the mother so that the mother can process without this constant reminder and this attachment to something that is fundamentally not what it was supposed to be. Kind of intense imagery, but I think it connects to whatever this situation, this tower moment was. It's like, let it go. Stop holding this dead thing in your arms and hoping that it's going to return to the state that it was in previously, or return to some imagined ideal, because it won't. I feel like that's kind of like Saturn and Aries right across from you, just sort of saying, that's where the stones have laid, and they're too heavy for you to lift. So this is the new reality you have to contend with. There are no time machines. What is done is done. You have been given the cards. You have been dealt the cards. And now it's up to you to make do with the hand that you have. And you can do it with strength here. You're not incapable. It's more a matter of not denying that you're capable. Not ruminating over what you've lost or what you've done wrong. And instead, moving forward with your life and moving towards a goal, setting a goal for yourself. Oh, we have another card hiding back here. I don't think that was an accident. This card fell off just so I could see whatever this card is. Let's see. Oh, we have Venus showing up, the Empress. Look at these beautiful cards. This is hope and abundance, color and vibrance, music, art, dancing, all the things that make us appreciate and value life. It's like, just because Mars has come tearing through your life doesn't mean that is no longer there. It just takes a shift in perspective. It just takes a revisitation, kind of how this card fell, and I had to look at the floor again and see that this card was here, the card that I missed. But I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't dropped a card, kind of this unexpected event that took place and redirected my attention somewhere else. Redirected my attention to the right place. If the current is flowing in one direction, is it necessary to keep trying to go in the other direction? Or would it make more sense to try to work with the current or make it work in your favor? You're fully capable of that. Libra, I feel like you have the intellectual power necessary to shape your life. And for whatever reason, maybe you're feeling like you can't. or like you don't want to. Like you want to give up. Or maybe not give up, but you want to linger on the things that haven't gone well. But she's still here. Venus. All the abundance and beauty and blessings and pretty things, valuable things, valuable people, lovers, romance, family, harmony, hope. I also almost wonder, we just had that Venus-Uranus conjunction at the tail end of Taurus. And I know the Tower is typically like the card of Mars, but I can see Uranus being there because Uranus is very disruptive and very kind of surprising and jolting, sort of lightning-like. So I wonder if that sort of conjunction is being implied here by these two cards being here. Maybe there's something in that event, that geometry, which has some relevance to impart to your situation. Maybe something to consult with an astrologer about. Well, Libra, I wish you all the best. I'm sure, I don't know, I feel like this is a very tricky space to be in, very difficult, very heavy space. And I don't want you to lose sight of hope, and I don't want you to lose sight of your own ability to contend with the circumstances that show themselves to you. You know, you are strong, and you are capable, and you are beautiful, and you are worthwhile, and it will get better. You can make it better. I'll leave it at that. Take care, Libra.